Hello learners, welcome to this video lesson. Today we are going to discuss another topic of your course. Today's title of discussion is relationship between education and social psychology. Before starting our discussion, let me to introduce myself. I Dr. Niradhar Dey, Associate Professor, School of Education, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Welcome you all to this video lesson. Friends, as you know that presently we are in the 14th module of your course. The title of the module is Understanding Education from Socio-Psychological Perspective. As you know that we are discussing one of your core courses of BA General Program from Education subject. The course code is BESC 131 and course title is Education, Concept, Nature and Perspectives. We have already discussed historical perspective, we have already discussed philosophical perspective, then sociological perspective to understand education, and now in this module we are discussing the psychological perspective, and particularly we are discussing the socio-psychological perspective to understand education. In 14th module, you have three different important lessons. First is concept of social psychology. Already you have studied that what is the very philosophy, what is the educational discourses, and what is the meaning and concept of social psychology. And further, what are the theories, what are the principles of social psychology, that also you have studied in the second lesson of this module. And in this session we are going to discuss relationship between education and social psychology, how education is related with social psychology and how social psychology contributes to understand education. Okay, so these are the certain important things that today we will be discussing. Before starting our discussion, let me to focus upon some of the important learning outcomes. After going through this video lesson and the content which is given in the 14th module of your course, you will be able to explain the relationship between education and social psychology on the following determinants. So, what are the determinants? First of all, understanding the behavior of the students, further creating conducive environment for socialization of the child, then further developing higher order thinking skills, then understanding the cause of social behavior in a learning situation, in different learning situation, and further contribution towards educational leadership and work motivation. So friends, these are the certain determinants to better understand and to establish better relationship between education and social psychology. Okay, and I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson, surely you will achieve these learning outcomes. Friends, you have already studied in the earlier lesson of this unit the very concept of social psychology, and at the beginning of this course, particularly in the first block, we have also discussed the very meaning, the concept, the philosophy of education, and the operational issues of education we have already studied. Now let us recapitulate and let us focus upon the concept of education and the concept of social psychology. Friends, social psychology is all about how others think, how we feel and act about different things as well as different situations. So friends, social psychology teaches us or makes us acquainted that how we react in different situations. Friends, in our everyday life, it may be in our family, it may be in our society and community, within the friend circle, even if in our professional life, in our job field. Okay, so we face many situations. So here social psychology helps us that how we act in different situations and how we react in different things also. Okay, so that's why social psychology is a type of concept, is a type of behavior that make the individual social and that make the individual react in different situations, react as per the demand of different situation. Okay, so that's why we can say that it is all about how others think and how we think and we feel and we react or we act about different things and situations. And further, if I will say that the scope of because we have to understand here the very concept, the very meaning as well as the scope of education. The scope of education includes factors related to learners, facilitators, learning environment, learning experiences and learning processes. So friends, here when as a learner, as a teacher, when we involve in such type of things, it may be type of learning environment, creating a learning environment and also act in a learning environment, and when we gain different learning experiences and when we follow a definite process to learn. So at the time we also use the concept of social psychology directly or indirectly, knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. So social psychology, it is some extent or you can say it is more or less beyond the psychological perspective. So here how the people, how the individual, how the learners act in different situation, act in different group, function in different group, even if in the peer, even if when they are establishing a type of interaction, a type of communication with the peers group as well as with the teachers. Okay, so how they understand themselves, how they react themselves, how they articulate themselves and how they understand the situation. Okay, so that's why here the scope of education also very much uses the concept of social psychology. Okay, and further we can say that social psychology is the social behavior of an individual which is regulated in different educational settings, and we can further say that interactions among students in the classroom settings are studied through social psychology. I was just talking earlier that the interaction that we do in the classroom, that is also somehow linked with our psychological understanding, linked with our thinking process, linked with our attitude, linked with our self concept. So that is the part of social psychology. Further, now let us focus upon what are the different determinants of relationship between education and social psychology. So when we say that the concept of education and the concept of social psychology are interrelated with each other, it should be better understood with certain determinants. Now let us focus upon the determinants. Just like first is understanding behavior of the students is the first determinant. Further, creating conducive environment for socialization is the second determinant. Then developing higher order thinking skills is the third determinant. And further understanding cause of social behavior in learning situations. Okay, so what is the cause of social behavior in different learning situation is also another determinant. And further, the final is contribution towards education, leadership and work motivation. That is also another determinant to understand or to establish a type of relation between education and social psychology. Now we will be trying to understand one after one these determinants of relationship between education and social psychology. Now let us focus upon the first determinant, that is understanding behavior of the students. So how to understand the behavior of the students? So friends, it is said, or being a teacher, we always practice, or this is always advisable, that a teacher should first better understand the learner, better understand the students to whom the teacher is teaching. Unless we understand, unless we know the needs, the abilities, you can say the strong point and attitude, intelligence and other, you can say psychological and you can say behavioral attributes are concerned, we cannot teach properly, or whatever we will teach in the class, your learners may not accept it, or may not grasp it, may not understand it. Because when you will understand, being a teacher, when you will understand better your students, then definitely you can design your teaching as per the students. Okay, so that's why this is the first determinant to establish a relationship between education and social psychology, that is understanding behavior of the students. Social psychologists are interested in understanding the underlying factors of social behavior among students. So, you see, every student, there are the individual differences between the students, between the learners, okay, no two individual are equal. So, when there are the individual differences, then definitely social behavior of the individual is also different. So, here being a teacher, you have to understand that what are the underlying factors of social behavior among the students, how people behave differently in different situations. Okay. So, what are the factors that contributes, that affect, whether the factor is psychological, whether the factor is mental, whether the factor is related to attitude, whether the factor is related to one's self-concept, or any outside factor, any external factor. Just like let the factors are you can say the peer group of the learner, or the factor is the family of the learner, the factor is the societal member or the play group of the learner. Try to understand. So, here to understand the behavior of the students, first we have to factorize it. First we have to understand that what are the causes, what are the reasons, what are the factors that that are underlying in exhibiting social behavior of the students. And further, students' actions, feelings, beliefs, memories and judgments are studied in order to understand their behavior. Okay. So, the feeling of individual student, the beliefs of individual students, the memories of individual student, judgment of individual student is also another important aspect to understand the behavior of the students, what judgment the students take. Okay. And what type of belief, what type of attitude, what type of feeling the learner is having. Okay. Because that contributes, these are maybe the factors, it contributes for shaping behavior of the learners, for shaping social behavior of the learners. And for the cognitive process play an important role in exhibiting social behavior. What is the cognitive process? Cognitive process means our knowledge, our understanding, our thinking process, our analytical skill, our synthesis, okay, and critical analysis. So, such type of things, these are called as the cognitive processes related to knowledge and understanding, related to our memory, our intellectual functioning, the functioning of our intellect, that also equally responsible, or it has its own role in exhibiting social behavior. Further, now let us focus upon second determinant, that is creating conducive environment for socialization of the child. So, how creating conducive environment is one of the determinant for establishing relationship between education and social psychology. Let us focus upon it. Socialization is a process of sharing of knowledge, values, beliefs, context specific language, experiences and ways of communicating these among the social group. Further, conveying knowledge and values from one student to another through conversations, dialogue, experiments and experiences in learning setting. Here you see, when we develop a type of conducive environment, it may be in the school, it may be in the teaching learning process, then definitely the child will feel social. Definitely the child will express themselves freely, okay, and interact themselves and you can say involve themselves freely with different activities. So, that is why we can say that further I may focus upon it, creating multiple opportunities for students to share contextually relevant experiences. So here multiple opportunities can be created if we are able to create a type of conducive environment for the learners for developing their you can say social behavior, and for the allowing a situation for a free flow of ideas and questions through the process of socialization. So here you see I am just focusing upon free flow of ideas and questions. Many a time I don't know what happened to few teachers, they never provide scope to the learners to express themselves, okay, to express their ideas, to express their thinking, to express their ideology, and to come forward with their queries and questions. If they are debarred to do so, then they will feel that they are not taken proper weightage and proper importance in the system of teaching and learning. So that's why creating a conducive environment definitely provides such opportunities, provides such space to the learners to express them freely, and further that helps for achieving the social development or the social for developing the social behavior of the child. Further, studying knowledge and values involved with the process of socialization and accordingly suggest for educational actions. So friends, now creating conducive environment for socialization of the child is one of the determinant for establishing a positive or constructive relationship between education and social psychology. Now let us focus upon the next determinant, that is developing higher order thinking skills. So what are the higher order thinking skills? I can say that education helps individuals to develop higher order thinking skills like reasoning, creativity, sense making, articulation of ideas and experiences, etc. So all our intellect, all our mental functioning, it may be our creativity, it may be our reasoning, it may be our you can say aptitude. So friends, here the higher order thinking skills, our mental operations, our perceptions, these are also help for establishing a type of relationship between education and social psychology. Okay, so when we try to be social, when we try to involve ourselves in a group, then definitely our thinking skills, our mental functioning is required. So that's why developing higher order thinking skill is also most important aspect for establishing relationship between education and social psychology. It also develops different language skills. Okay, so the higher order thinking skill also include the language skills. Okay, our articulation and the ability of listening, the ability of expressing, the ability of reading, the ability of writing are also important. The different skills of language acquisition, understanding language. And further, social psychology explains about how do these skills relate to one's personal and other educational experiences. And now let us focus upon some of the higher order thinking skills that how we can develop. First of all, we can say that learning language, if you learn the skills of language, then definitely you can address the higher order thinking skill. And further, curiosity, if you have the curiosity to learn, then definitely you will learn, definitely you will understand. And further, knowledge towards society, to understand the diversity of the society, to understand the culture, to understand the people of the society, then definitely that will also help you to connect education with the social psychology. And for the interpersonal communication, whether you are able to express themselves to a group, whether you are feeling free to interact yourself within a group and within the peers. And further, analysis and synthesis is also other thinking skills, higher order thinking skills. that should be developed, care should be taken for its development, for understanding social psychology and using social psychology for getting education and for the capacity to learn. Whether the learner have the ability, have the capacity to learn is also another important aspect. Now let us focus upon the other determinants to establish relations between education and social psychology, that is understanding cause of social behavior in learning situations. So what are the different cause of social behavior in different learning situations? Just like social psychology intends to understand the nature and causes of students' behavior. So what is the nature of students' behavior, and to factorize it, what are the causes of social behavior, and for the feelings and thoughts in social situation, in different social situations, how the individual feel, how the individual think. Okay, and further we can say classroom is a miniature form of social situation. So I have already said in my earlier lessons that classroom is called as a miniature of the society, classroom is called as a subsystem of the society. So that's why for understanding cause of social behavior in learning situation, we should understand the very nature of the classroom, the very involvement of the classroom, the very group interaction, group processes that are practiced in the classroom. Okay. And further, social psychology investigates into the ways in which students' thoughts, feelings and behavior are influenced by the educational environment. So friends, students' behavior, feeling and thought process, these are influenced by different educational environment. If we are able to create a conducive educational environment, then definitely you can better connect education with social psychology. And further, social psychologists make an attempt to understand how relationships among these elements impact students' learning. Now let us focus upon some of the important aspect, that is another determinant, that is understanding cause of social behavior in learning situation. Just like first of all to understand the group dynamics. Okay. So it will also help you, or it can be one of the cause of social behavior in learning situation. Group dynamics means you have to understand the nature of the group, the structure of the group, the attitude of the group, the interrelationship among the members in the group. Okay. So that's why you have to analyze the group. Further, conflict resolution, whether you are able to resolve, able to solve your conflicts. Conflicts are with everybody. Okay. And it is the matter that how far we are able to resolve our conflicts. Then cognitive discourses, whether we are able to analyze the things, whether we are able to synthesize the things, whether we are able to critically, you can say, interpret the things. So that's why cognitive discourses are also another important aspect so far as social behavior in different learning situation is concerned. Then interpersonal relationships is also another important aspect. Further, I can focus upon the other causes of social behavior in learning situation, that is organizational environment, whether we have created a positive environment or not. Okay. For acting in that environment, and whether we have organized it for getting a better result or not. Then attitude of the members, attitude of the individual, attitude of the learners in different group, in different you can say situation. Further, perception, then life skill. Life skill is also another important aspect that helps us to live our life. Interpersonal communication I have already discussed, that is also a part of life skill. Empathy is a part of life skill. Okay. So friends, these are some of the determinant that helps us to understand or to establish relationship between education and social psychology. Further, the other determinant are just like contribution towards education leadership and work motivation. Just like true leadership affects the students, teachers and other members of an educational situation. It provides members of the situation of the institution satisfaction, motivation and develops in them positive attitude towards work. It increases the effectiveness of work culture. Developing work culture in the organization is related with social factors as well as personal dispositions. And further, we can say that understanding social behavior of the students and teachers involve understanding of both the persons and situation. Try to understand here contribution towards education, leadership and work motivation. First of all, our leadership, mostly the education leadership, what scope, what space, what facilities our leadership provides to the students as well as the teacher for developing work motivation. If our leadership, if our institutional management is not providing such space and scope, then hardly we achieve work motivation. And now we can say that the relationship between social factor, then personal disposition and work culture. So how these three things are related with each other? One is the social factor, other is the personal disposition, and if we include these two, but I can say that both are equally contribute for developing a positive, a constructive work culture. So now let us try to understand what is the social factors, then what is the personal disposition. Social factors includes social influence processes, interpersonal relationships, feedback in workplace, as well as opportunity in workplace. So these are the certain things that we have to understand, we have to develop for developing a better work culture. Then the personal dispositions are just like self-esteem, emotional stability, locus of control, personality trait, self-efficacy. All our personal traits, our personal dispositions, that also help for developing a better work culture. So that's why personal dispositions and our you can say social factors, both are equally contribute for developing a positive work culture. Friends, just to recapitulate, today we discussed the interrelationship between education and social psychology. We discussed the concept of education and social psychology. Further, we discussed different determinants that help for establishing positive relationship between education and social psychology. Now, I am very much hopeful that after going through this video lesson, you will be able to answer these questions, just like how education and social psychology are related with each other. You will be able to explain the concept of understanding behavior of the students as a determinant of social psychology. Then further, how creating a conducive environment acts as a determinant for social psychology. Explain the concept of higher order thinking skills. Then explain social behavior in a learning situation as a determinant of social behavior. And further, explain the contribution of educational leadership and work motivation as a determinant of social psychology. I am hopeful that surely you will be able to answer these questions after going through this video lesson.